Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, I share content relating to data analytics, fabric, and AI. If you're here to subscribe to my channel or share my content with your fellow data professional, I urge you to rush down and do that. Power BI Modeling MCP is a new feature that came out not so long ago, probably that was in November 2025. It basically allows you to connect to your Power BI reports to your favorite language models like ChatGPT, your Claude, and it also helps you work with your semantic models. Before you go perform most of these actions yourself, like creating measures, relationships, and even updating the metadata, you can simply type this request into a chat. Your AI agents basically do most of the work for you. This is a great addition to speed up your report development. It relies heavily on AI to actively make changes on your semantic models. The first thing you do is to install your VS Code that has all the add-ins that you need to get started. On my extension, this is my extension marketplace, I have this selected, and you will simply search for Power BI Modeling MCP server. So when you have that search, you just click on install. So mine is already installed. Once that is installed, you will see a chat window. You can choose to select any agent that you want. Right now my credit is exhausted, but I'm going to be using my Claude to show us how this can be possible. We have to look at the reports that we're going to be working with. This report was built few days ago and it has some basic information, total applicants. All these calculations was done by me manually, but we are going to see how our Claude AI can actually help us. Let's take a look at the columns and the tables that we have. I'm going to switch back to my table view. So application date, application time, close date, close time. Currently I have 8 measures and these are the different relationships I have. I also have here a date table. Let me have this collapsed. So these are all my measures. I have my candidate data. Let's try to connect Power BI MCP server into this report. Let me switch back to my report view. I'm using the Claude desktop version. So connect to recruitment dashboard. Let's look at the different ways that we can use and optimize our Power BI server. The first one is documentation, because this is my least favorite task that I have when it comes to building Power BI reports. And now with the introduction of MCP, this significantly improved the way that I document my semantic models. Looking at the prompt, help me create a documentation of models listing out all the tables, measures, and columns that is typically required as part of a Power BI documentation. I didn't even specify for a tabular format. It gave me my report overview in a tabular format. I'm just going to read out the different properties and the different elements that we have here. You can see I have all my measures. It also gives me with descriptions. You can see I have my tables. So these are the different tables that I have in my report. At the back end, it does a lot of bulk tags for me, like telling me this is my facts table. We got a list of all our measures and columns. So this is for my table, giving us a list of our table name along with the different data types, description, and the data source. So you notice that for my date table, which is dimension table, this is actually calculated, and the facts table, these are the different sources of the data. So let's take a look at the different columns we have. You can just explore this. I have my different columns, application date. It also gives me a more detailed description of my data, the data type, the key, and my description. You can look closely. Aside from the data types, it will identify this is a date time column. We also have string, integers, and dates the candidate submitted the application. This is a primary date key. Active relationship to your date models. This change a lot. The way you work with your Power BI reports traditionally is different from the way you are working with your Power BI reports now. But there's another thing I want us to do. Aside from the documentation, it can actually do a lot of bulk tasks for you, and that is one of the interesting things I want us to see in our report. So this is the documentation aspect as well as the different relationships you have. Let's switch over to my Power BI interface. Yes, on your model view, you notice that there is a description element on candidate ID. I can do this manually by going through every single one of these, or I can just ask my MCP server to do that for me. Switching back to my Claude, let me say add. I'm saying add these descriptions to my model. Initially, you would have done that manually, but with the introduction of MCP server, you are able to do that automatically. So let me run this command. Let's go to the columns and the tables to see the different description that has been added. I'm switching back to my Power BI, and for my different table names, you can see that this is a description that this is a core fact table containing one row per recruitment event. Let me collapse this. Let's go to the date table. Shade date dimension used to support time intelligence across the model. So you can see it contains calendar attributes such as year, quarter, month name, week number, and so on. Let's see all our measures. Basically, it went through the data models to give us different descriptions for all the tables. And interestingly, we also want that in all our columns headers. You see, we have date, the candidate submitted the application. Tells you that this is a primary key. We go to the application time. So it has given us the description across table. It has also given us description across the different column headers that we have. For example, close date. Date requisition was officially closed. We go to current year of acceptance. Let's take a look at our measures, the different measures we have for our description. So this is a count of candidates whose offered status is accepted. That's how to go about description. Another interesting thing I want us to do, I want us to be able to create a few DAX calculations. I had manually created this. So I have accepted row, cost per hire, decline rows, and I would say I want you to look at my model. You can also create a date table. That's the interesting thing. So let's say create seed your data question. Switch over to our Power BI desktop to see the different measures that has been created. Instead of having about 12 measures that I had, this has added. I should have said put this in a folder. You can also give it a prompt that says create a folder. And let's put this in a card visual. The created numbers of accepted rows. You can also see that this has been updated automatically. It gives us time intelligence function. This is dimension analysis. So the ones you don't see in folders, the ones that I created on my own, where we can go ahead to see applicants by job title. So let me expand this. Let me collapse this. We go into time intelligence. Have this expanded. Accepted rows previous year, accepted rows year to date. I have total applicants year over year. You can always go ahead to explore most of these capabilities. It also helps you speed up your development process. Instead of manually reviewing tables, columns, this process becomes significantly easier. It can help you create DAX, manage relationships, update your metadata, visual changes, even adding DAX or formatting your report. It helps you do a lot. You can ask AI assistant to inspect your semantic models and generate comprehensive documentation automatically. Governance and long-term maintainability of your Power BI solution. What was once a tedious manual exercise can now become an automated part of your development cycle. So those are the different aspects you can work with in Power BI. I've talked about documentation, where you can say create a data dictionary for this model. You can even optimize your DAX measures for you. It also helps you explain your existing DAX calculations, identify inefficiency, and recommend performance improvement, as well as building relationships, semantic model exploration. Instead of manually reviewing every table, you can simply ask, explain the semantic model and how the table interacts with each other. That is why it's highly recommended that you watch the monthly updates of Power BI and Fabric. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. Subscribe, like, and share with your data professionals.